everyone. This is Simran and welcome to this comprehensive tutorial on OpenObserve pipelines. I'm really excited to walk you through this because pipelines are a very important feature in OpenObserve, and once you understand them, you'll be able to make the best use of your observability data. Let's walk over today's session agenda. First, we'll understand what's the difference between real-time pipeline and scheduled pipelines, the different type of pipelines we provide in OpenObserve, and then how to create pipelines using the visual drag and drop editor. Third, you'll know how to write the VRL function, that's vector remap language, that is for transforming your data. Then you'll know how to route your data to multiple destinations based on conditions, and finally you'll monitor and manage your pipelines effectively. So this tutorial will include hands-on demo for creating different pipeline types. So let's jump right in. Let's start with the very basics, like what exactly is a pipeline in OpenObserve. So a pipeline is a data processing workflow. It's like an assembly line for your logs, metrics, and traces. Data comes in on one end, it gets transformed, filtered, and enriched in the middle, and then goes out to one or more destination. If you have ever worked with ETL tools, that's the extract, transform, and load, pipelines work in a very similar way, but they are specifically designed for your observability data. An important thing to understand here is OpenObserve provides you with two type of pipelines and they serve a specific use case. So the first type of pipeline is real-time pipeline. This processes your data instantly, the moment it arrives. As soon as a log is ingested into your stream, the pipeline kicks in. It processes it right away. And use case for a real-time pipeline include live log parsing, real-time filtering, and instant enrichment. The second type is a scheduled pipeline. So this one is a bit different. It doesn't processes your data immediately. Instead, it runs on a specific schedule that you define, maybe every 5 minutes, every hour, or once a day. It queries your historical data from your streams and processes it in batches. So this is great for things like creating aggregated metrics, generating or doing batch transformations. Every pipeline in OpenObserve is made up of three main components. First is the source, then the transformation, and the destination. Now, let me break this down for you. So, the first we have source node. This is where your data comes from. In case of real time pipeline, we make use of the stream node. This connects to a live data stream that's receiving data. For scheduled pipeline, you'll use a query. This lets you write SQL queries to fetch historical data at scheduled intervals. Here you can define various parameters like the period, the look back window, everything. And then we have a transformation node. This is where the magic happens, where you actually process or modify your data. There are two type of transform nodes. Condition nodes, which let you to apply some filter based on field values. For example, you might want to pass through records where the status code is greater than or equal to 400. So this condition is for filtering. Now, function node, they let you apply the VRL transformation. So, VRL is a powerful scripting language for data transformation. With VRL, you can parse unstructured logs, you can add new fields, you can enrich records with additional information, and much more. Then we have the destination node. This is where your processed data will end up. So, you have two options. You can send data to some other stream, and this stream is within OpenObserve itself, or you can send it to remote destinations via webhooks. This remote destination is helpful when you want to forward data to third parties. So the flow is very simple. Data comes in through the source, gets processed by the transform nodes, and they go out to one or more destinations. So you can have multiple transformations and multiple destinations in a single pipeline, which gives you a lot of flexibility. Let's start by creating a pipeline. So we'll go to the pipeline section and here click on create a new pipeline. So if you see if you go back to the pipeline menu, you'll see a bunch of scheduled pipelines and real-time pipeline listed here. And in the pipeline history, you can check a history of all the runs from scheduled pipelines. The real-time pipeline history is not listed here because they are very granular. So it becomes a lot of logs will be generated, which is not helpful. So we have the data for scheduled pipeline history. So let's start by creating a real-time one first. Let's create a new pipeline. And as we as we discussed. In case of real-time pipeline, we need to have data coming from a direct stream. So let's take the Kate event stream. So before working on the pipeline, let's understand what data we have in our event stream. So this is a K8 event stream, and this is the different bunch of data. These are the different fields it has. So what we want to do is, if you take a look at the K8's cluster parameter, there are different clusters here. There's production cluster, there is introspection, there is dev clusters running. Now what I want is, I want all of those events to go into different streams based on whatever environment they belong to. Later, I might want to set different retentions for this different streams. So let me just create a pipeline where I fetch the events from this log stream and then send them to a new log stream. So this is the source, and let's remove the destination. This is not the destination we want. Now after this, we want to add a filter. Say I want to filter only for cluster where the cluster is production. Okay. Now let me connect this two nodes so that the data flow is clarified. Now, if I don't specify things, I'll run into error. Just let me go into save this. You'll know that pipeline name is required, and even if I provide a pipeline name, a destination node is required. So basically, all the events coming into the skate events log stream. On top of that, I'll apply a filter that if the K8's cluster name is production, then you move those events forward. Now, in the next, I want to add one more transformation node. Now, let's create a new function. Let's say add environment, that is the function name. And the VRL function is quite easy to understand, and there is a whole documentation. I'll be adding that in the description. So all I'm doing here is just creating a parameter and setting its value to prod. I'm creating a new field which is environment, and I'm setting the environment to prod just for testing purposes. So any event entry we get, a new field will be added to that event with the name. The new field will be environment, and the value for that will be prod. That's a static thing. We can have it based on certain condition that if level is equals to info, I can set the environment to error environment, like prod environment, and if the level is error, then I can set it to error environment. This is a language, and I can make use of this language to modify things based on my need. Let's just save this. Now, if you see, there is one more thing, one more toggle, which is after flattening and before flattening. So first we need to understand what flattening really is. So whatever events are captured, most of the time these events are, say if they are captured in a nested JSON format. So it's very difficult to parse those JSON, and to a certain level, we want to flatten that data. Now what that means is, this is a entry. This is an entry. This has got nested data. Here we have properties object. Under that we have author, title, genre, etc. And then we have category object. Under this category object we have age band, content, binding, etc. So this makes, if we had to index it and we have to make use of it, it becomes difficult to use. So how we flatten it? Now, so instead of treating them as a nested object, what we do is we flatten it. So this becomes category dot content, and this has got a value. This is flattening. In case of OpenObserve, instead of this dot operator, we have the underscore. So what our value will be saved as is category underscore content, category underscore age band. If I take a look back at our data, let me just see. So there are different parameters: body, object, API version, the body object, deprecated count, all of this. There is a possibility that all of this object API version, first of all, the body was the larger object, and within that we had object as a nested object, and within that we had different fields like API version, deprecated, and stuffs. That can be the case. Or there is another possibility that here there is Kubernetes event action, Kubernetes event count, name, reason, all of those. So there is a possibility that the skates event was a parent object, and this count, name, all of this was the fields within that object. So after flattening, this has become k's events underscore count. So that is what flattening is. Now this pipelines gives us the option that we want to apply the enrichment function after flattening the object or before flattening the object. So suppose this was the actual entry, and after flattening, okay, so this is the event. After flattening, this becomes, now if I had to apply a VRL function, I'll check. Let me add another text box. I'm just writing a plain language just for understanding. Check if Kate's event value equals to info. If yes, then set severity. They just create a new field that is just set dot severity equals to info. Okay. Else set severity equals to warning. Now this can be the case. This is one such condition. Now I am setting logic on this particular field, assuming the data was flattened. If I don't enable that this after flattening, our pipeline might run into error because the event then is stored as nested objects rather than the flattened one. So we need to make sure that whatever on top of whatever field we are setting the conditions, that is taken care of, if that is decided after flattening or before. Whenever we specify the VRL function, we need to take care that whatever fields we are specifying there, that is coming after flattening or that is coming before flattening. Okay. But in our case, we are not working on top of any of the existing parameters. So in this case, we don't really care. But in real world, we do care, because in real world use case, our condition will all our or whatever new fields, most of the time they'll be based on the values we get in the field. So let's just save this for demo purpose and then connect the dots. And then our destination is a new stream. Let's keep it a new log stream and then set it maybe prod stream. Okay. If this stream already exists, the data will be pushed there. If this stream does not exist, still they'll create a new stream. This pipeline will create a new stream and then start the ingestion there. But in order for this pipeline to execute, we need to have events being received here. Let's just save it to real time demo. Let's just save this. So our pipeline is saved. This is the one. Now let's go back to our events and filter for production cluster and see if new events have come and passed. Okay, let's wait. Let's wait for new events to show up. Now, so as soon as this new events come here, there a new stream will be created. Let's see if that stream got created. So the stream is created. Maybe we have started receiving new events here. Let me filter for past 5 minutes. And yes, we had a bunch of different objects. So the destination, they have reached the destination. And if we take a look at this, there are different parameters, but in every record, you will find the environment set to prod, because we have enriched our event and added a particular field, that is environment, and that value is set to prod. It's a static one. And if you will notice, all the K's cluster will be production here because we have filtered only for those data and nothing else. So our real time pipeline is running fine. Now let's start to create a new scheduled pipeline. Now, in order to create a scheduled pipeline, all we need to do is, instead of getting the data from a live stream, we get it from by running a SQL query over a stream again. Now let's filter on default. I'm working on top of logs. You can also work on top of metrics, and you can use a PromQL editor even, or you can make use of traces, whatever you want. And the destination also can be decided by you. So let me work on for, okay, let's work on traces this time. So we select all this data from the traces. Let it check for every 5 minutes. Okay. And let's just validate and close. We can apply some filtering here if we want. If we quickly run this, this is the different parameters we have. So we can add some filtering, we can add some conditions if we want. Say the service gates namespace name equals to default. Let's just add a condition here. Default. And just save it. Now in all those cases, I want to send it to a stream. How about sending it to some remote destination? We have different pre-built option. We can send it to other different tools or a custom mode where we can set the URL, the endpoint path, the JSON output format, the headers, everything. Okay, I don't want to remove. Let me have the destination as a new stream. Let this be a log stream, and let me just name the stream traces stream transformed. Okay, let this be the name. I can give it any name. Let's just this be the name, and then let's connect the pipeline so that the data flow from where to where is decided, and then we name it scheduled pipeline demo. Okay, demo. Great. Let's just save this. Now this runs every 5 minutes, and it look back it look back for 5 minutes of data. So we can check in the pipeline history how far it ran, like scheduled pipeline demo. So there are no runs till now. Let's wait for some amount of time and then we'll see the pipeline history. So if we see the updated history, so this ran this ran for duration like for past 5 minutes and the status is completed. There was no retry because there was no failures. So let's just go and see if the stream is created. Traces, yeah, traces stream transform. This is the stream we were looking for, and if we see service, all the names are default. Yeah, that is what we filtered for. Now we can just update our pipeline to have multiple destinations. Suppose we have set a condition this. Now let's create one more condition that if, so let's see what other parameters we have here. Fine, we'll filter for all the entries where DB name is not equal to hotel. Okay, so let's just create another condition where this database name is not equals to hotel. Just save. This is the second condition. We connect the pipeline and we can have a different destination. Can we connect this? Can we get both the entries to the same destination? No, we cannot. There can be only one incoming edge to this node. So we need to create a different stream, non-hotel traces. Okay, let this be the name. Let me just save this. Now let's wait for the pipeline to trigger again. So you can basically configure multiple different destinations as well. One destination can be a stream in OpenObserve, another destination can be a remote destination. Nevertheless, you can create it all. You can start your OpenObserve cloud trial today and check out the different features we have, especially the pipelines feature if you have followed through the tutorial, and give it a shot. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up. If you have any queries, feel free to make use of the comment section. See you in next tutorial.